Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations About Your Kundalini with Chrism. My name is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this program. I'd also like to say hello to Mary Jean. Haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice to see you there. And all the callers that are calling in. So hello, everybody. Before I get going too far, I'd like to introduce my co-host, although she is busy at the moment talking to Joey. And so we'll let that subside in a bit here. Today, I'd like to talk to you about humor. I'd like to talk with you about what it is to have humor within a Kundalini context and what an amazing level of release and balancing that can be for a person. It can be so amazingly helpful and healthy for a person to be able to really kick down and have some strong levels of humor and amusement within the very, very strong experiences of a Kundalini awakening equation. And so I want to encourage it. I want to encourage it. And speaking of humor here, I'm going to go right on over to Santara and say, welcome to you, Santara.
Thank you, Chrism. Thank you indeed. Hi, everybody in the chat room.
So let's do a little sound
check.
I see Mary Jean is there and Katie is there, Michelle. We want to make sure that the sound is coming through and that we're not talking to the air, so to speak. So if you could let us know if you're hearing us okay there in the chat room. And all you have to do is start typing and we'll know. Michelle's right on it. Thank you, Michelle. Sounds good. Okay, very good. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Here we go then. And Mary Jean in bold letters. Sound is fine. Thank you, Mary Jean. So amusement is extremely important. Amusement serves, and I'm going to go ahead and put. Okay, good. Amusement serves the purpose of really letting off a lot of pressure. If you can have those belly laughs there in the second chakra, it's so helpful, so very helpful for a person to be able to have that and to understand that it's serving their process, it's helping you. And it also, it's not only does it just feel good, but it helps you to reinforce levels of courage within yourself, levels of balance within yourself. And from the courage, say, you're having phenomena that's frightening you a little bit. And if you can just find some of the humor in it, it can be extremely helpful. The more amused you stay, the less fearful you are. And so if you can find, I don't care what you find as amusement. I just posted, Brooke and I just posted a couple of videos on the Kundalini Awakening exclamation site on Facebook. And we were just sitting in the car and we were just having a laugh, and we decided to film some of the things that we were having a laugh about. Mine was a Reiki car repair guy, selling his Reiki repair experiences, I guess, with somebody's used car or something like that. And Brooks was, of course, telling everybody what. Matter of fact, I'm going to see if you can hear it here. We'll go ahead and play it for you right now, and we'll see if you can actually hear it. Listen up, if you can hear this too, okay? Here we go, and I'm going to start it right at the beginning.
I'm like a channeler and everything. I'm like totally like a healer and everything, and I'm like Reiki level. I'm like Reiki like level number 10 and everything, and so like 4 is good, but I'm like 10, and so like I'm really good healer and everything, and I'm like a total channeler, and I like channel stuff and everything, and I'm like a total healer, and I'm like really, really good.
So there we have it. I don't know if anybody could hear that. Could anybody hear that? Anybody? Hi, Magic Art. Can you hear that? Okay. So we were just sitting in the car and we were laughing about different things, and we weren't really targeting anybody in particular, but because a lot of the Reiki population, seems to have a fix for everything, and the higher the number of Reiki, well, the more powerful the person's supposed to be, and you have this and that with it. So we just decided to put a little fun that way. And we really, it was really nice to just kick down and laugh for a while. I haven't done that in a little bit. And so I wanted to talk about that with you. Laughing is so very, very, very important. Michelle was asking questions earlier on. It's like, well, aren't you bullying Reiki people? And, aren't you, having fun at their expense? And certainly not really within the expense of any individual, but perhaps of a modality, using the modality just the same way that you would use a used car salesman as a modality to make fun of, or a politician, or anything that a stand-up comedian would do, for amusement purposes, and just strictly for the levels of amusement. There are many opportunities that a person has to Katie says, yes, you guys were having too much fun. We were having a lot of fun, and that's the whole idea. That the Kundalini awakening can be very, very, very serious business for the person. It can really occupy your mind 24/7, even as you're going through work or raising your kids or interacting with your spouse, or if you have a spouse, these types of things. And it can be very, very serious work. And when are you taking the time to just kick back and have some laughter? Seriously. When are you taking the time to kick back and have some laughter? And so amid all that seriousness, I really want to suggest strongly that people have some laughter within this experience, and to really, have some, I don't care what the subject is. I mean, it would probably be best if it wasn't about somebody that personally, unless they did something really funny, like Lasha. Lasha does funny things all the time, and so do the dogs. They do some pretty crazy funny things, and you can really kick down and laugh about some of those things as well. It's not always got to be a serious, I'm on the verge of sadness or tears type of scenario. It can be very, very, very fun, very amusing, hilarious to a severe degree, and I really suggest that you try to bring that into your experience as you're having the Kundalini. Yet, I mean, we're surrounded by egotistical, unawakened people most of the time on this world. Certainly within the Western societies, but I'm going to say with most, if not all, of the societies on this world. And I won't even try to think that I know about all the societies on this world. I'm sure there are some societies, like the Sonoy tribe, or some of these little mini societies where perhaps people are more awakened. But within the Western technological societies, we're surrounded by people that are not awakened and not really wanting to be. I mean, they're not trying. They're just kind of living their life, living their karma, taking that slow evolutionary route into grace. And by slow, I'm not making a judgment about that either. We all walk slow at first before we're able to run or fly. And so, as we're surrounded by these people, and everything is really serious, and money is hard to come by, and the car is breaking down, and gosh, it's wintertime, and the furnace isn't working well, and we're all cold, we're having to bundle up, and whatever the problem may be, I'm going to suggest that within a Kundalini context, that you find some humor about what's going on. Really, really dig deep if you have to, and find some humor about it. It can be very, very, very helpful just to lighten up the mood. As I said earlier, Kundalini can be very serious business. Very, very serious business. And when you're talking with people who are constantly in a serious mindset or a sad mindset or a painful mindset, then how often are you around people that are in a really joyful, happy mindset? Seriously. How often are you around people in your work day, in the day that you spend, your daylight hours? How often are you able to spend time with a person that is really upbeat and really happy to be alive and happy to be around you and happy about their Kundalini if they have it? These types of things are extremely important for a person to have during the Kundalini. And sometimes the laughter will just be endless. I mean, once you get started, you won't be able to stop. And that's kind of how it was with Brooke and I today in her car as we were parked in the driveway, and we're just cracking jokes about this or that. And then we decided to videotape some of our responses. And I encourage you to do that too. I mean, try to bring some levity into your life. It's very, very important for people to really begin to understand that it does not have to be as serious as a heart attack. And I'm going to come on over to Centaura here and see if she's listening. Are you keeping track with this conversation, Centaura?
Yes, I'm here, Chrism.
Okay. What do you think about all that?
I totally agree with you. I mean, humor is, I'll tell you the truth. I was thinking back to a trip we had, and you know what you're saying about it's so serious, like the Kundalini doesn't ever stop. And, I was on a road trip with you, and that was kind of serious. We started laughing about farting. And it was just unbelievable. I mean, the humor, it hurt. We laughed so much, and it was such a relief. It was incredible.
No, it wasn't about farting. Oh my God, it wasn't about farting. It was about me. It was about me shooing flies away in a video. Remember that?
That was another one, yeah.
So we were filming
that was at Painted Rock.
We were at Painted Rock in southern Arizona, and we were doing this serious video about the petroglyphs on Painted Rock and all the entities that were standing around on the rocks that other people couldn't see, but people with Kundalini could see, and all of these things. And Amelia was filming. She kind of panned away, and the whole time I'd been getting all these flies were dive bombing me. And as soon as I saw her pan the camera away, I started waving at the flies. But you could see my shadow waving at the flies. So it was, you pretty much had to be there. But,
it was brilliant.
But that really allowed us to just let go of a tremendous level of laughter and amusement and joy. And we were up there in our Motel 6, rented room, and we were just laughing and laughing and laughing. We had a really nice room, as I recall. We had a whole suite, and
we had
the two beds, quite separated. But it was very, very strong. The laughter was, yeah.
Yeah, and you see, even still, when you mentioned that, that's not the one I was thinking of. But anyway, as soon as you mentioned it, my heart opens again, just thinking about it from the remembrance of it. It was so wonderful.
We still have that on recording.
I mean, Yeah, we have. Did we actually put that up? I don't think we did.
Not that part, no. It would be too scary for people. But it's so very important to have these and I would suggest that you have consistent levels of really, really strong amusement, a really strong looking at life in a lighter vein, in a happier vein. And as Amelia mentioned, it really opens up the heart. And so really, and I've said really about 1,000 times now, try as best you can to bring a strong level of amusement into your Kundalini process. And how have you been doing that lately, Amelia?
Well, I've been very happy the last few days. I mean, not hilariously in the way that you and Brooke were today, even though I appreciate what that's like. But I've been very happy, just very much appreciating, what's unfolding with my Kundalini and appreciating all the small and the large things that are happening, and just feeling extremely happy with everything. And it's really nice. It's really, really nice. I'm enjoying it, Chrism.
Well, you should be. And it kind of brings to mind, some of the things that can bring you down during a Kundalini equation, like the endocrine system takes a huge hammering by the Kundalini. It really, it's working really hard. And if you're eating sugars or alcohol or cigarettes or high fructose corn syrup or, any of these caffeine, that even adds more to the stress of the situation. And so it's very important for a person to be able to take a break and to really, really, really look at their chemical equation and see if they're depleted in certain areas. And how do you feel about that, Santara?
Yeah, well, I have been depleted. I had a lot of physical symptoms recently, some of them quite similar to Kundalini symptoms. The way you can get quite tired. Sometimes I would have gone through phases where I had high energy, and other phases where, I was sleeping more than being awake, really. And I thought it was one of those phases. And so it was a struggle. A lot of things were a struggle. And because I'm having this operation being done, I was getting blood tests, and it was discovered that I had a very, very low vitamin B12 level in my body. I mean, it was extremely low. And that accounted for some of the symptoms that I was having. And where did that originate from? I mean, first of all, Chrism, your teachings would say to supplement and to take vitamin B complex, because the Kundalini uses what's necessary for the process in our bodies, and things get used up more. And I was very laissez-faire with my B complex. I'd take it for a week, I wouldn't take it. And for a long time now, I wasn't eating eggs. I just don't eat them. I don't eat dairy. And I would be fairly vegetarian. So because of not supplementing and because of the Kundalini and what's used up, my B12 just was, zero. And I've got some
that can
B12
have a very strong effect. That can have a strong effect on your mood.
Absolutely, 100%. It has, indeed it has. I mean, it's very difficult to get through the day-to-day life just because it's worse than anemia. And also it can have an effect on the emotions, as well as the cognitive. I mean, even remembering things, I found that very difficult. So I was going through a lot of not very pleasant symptoms, Chrism. So I'm very happy that has passed.
Well,
so that is.
I can also see the hand of grace within this, the Kundalini, sacred feminine, as she keeps your mind so preoccupied with some of the harder aspects of the process of the Kundalini, the balancing of the karma and the balancing with people that are around you that don't have the Kundalini, really, taking your mind off of self-maintenance in a way that depletion would support work that she's doing with you, and then of course bringing you back up to it by having you take a vitamin B12 pill or get an injection or something of that level to help you come out of it and to be able to reflect on what exactly has been going on say the past few months. It's very important. I see her hand in this, and I think that she is in many ways orchestrating the whole process. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm very grateful for that.
And so of course,
you're right.
So of course, your egg yolk intake is going to resume, right?
Please, no.
You just as soon go for the injections, I'm sure. Amelia is a great lover. Amelia is a great lover of eggs, everybody. And this Easter, I want you to send her as many eggs as you can. She lives in Scary Island. So yeah. The chemical imbalances that we can encounter with regards to Kundalini can be, fairly somewhat severe. But you also must always understand that Kundalini, being an intelligent consciousness in and of itself, it absolutely knows that you are indeed low on certain chemicals, and she may use that chemical deficiency in order to help you dig deeper into a level of depression that needs to be released, or a level of work in some area of the body that needs to be released. And then, of course, she will give back to you the balance in the endocrine system, the balance within the proper chemical balance that she wants you to be in. And so in many, many ways, the Kundalini will turn itself up, burn off a level of vitamin balance in this way, or electrolytic balance, hydrolytic balance, and really push you and stress you in a very specific direction for a very specific amount of time, and then boom, she'll pop it right into your head to replace those electrolytes, to replace the vitamin balance, and everything else that she may have allowed to purposefully go out of balance in order to process a certain level of experience. And you need to embrace this. You need to understand this. You need to really trust what the sacred feminine is doing for you. And one of those things that you can do on a daily basis, unless she countervenes it in some way, is bring a strong level of amusement into your life. A strong level of amusement, my friends. So very important. Like right now, as Amelia is saying, she's had her vitamin B12 shot, and and she's feeling really good, and she's able to really take in a lot of the grandeur and the happiness and the joy, if not bliss, from her Kundalini awakening equation. And yet, are you able to laugh?
Yes, Chrism. But even during it, what you're saying there about, the low and the depression and the stress that I was under, within that and my response to that, she was teaching me. Because I had to live my life. Say again?
She'll always be teaching us 24/7.
Oh, 24/7. But even within that was amusement. It was so bad, if you know what I mean. At the time. Yeah.
So I feel that people really need to look at and trust their Kundalini equation. Things may be going very bad for you at the moment. You may be having a hard time with the spouse, or with the family, or with the job, or just with yourself as you engage this Kundalini equation and it engages you. It's very important for people to begin to understand that if they just force themselves to smile a little bit, if the Kundalini consciousness allows you to even think of smiling a little bit, of reminding you perhaps of this program we're doing today, reminding you to just lift the corners of your mouth a little bit and to begin to engage those muscles. I think there's like 42 muscles that engage when a person is smiling, and as you engage those muscles, you also engage an endocrine response, and the endocrine response releases a certain hormone within the system that allows, I believe it's an endorphin, that allows the person to be able to smile. And as you're smiling and as the endorphin is being released within you, perhaps you're thinking of something that made you laugh the other day, or something that made you smile or something that made you feel good. And I really want that to be inserted into your practice. Matter of fact, when you're doing a meditation, I would like you to kind of lift the corners of your mouth up into a slight smile. Not a huge smile, unless that is something that you can do, but into a slight smile. If you look at some of the Buddhas and some of the Krishnas and some of the people that you see meditating in statuary from the Buddhist and the Hindu pantheon, you'll see that many of these people that are sitting there in the lotus position or just cross-legged in the easy pose, they have a slight smile to their face. They have a very, it's almost like a smile of serenity. And I would like you to adopt that smile. Now, some people, when they have the Kundalini come in, the Kundalini goes straight to their face, and they develop, without even trying it, what is called or what is known as the Chrism smile. And this is a very serene smile. And if any of you that are listening to this have this happen to you, do not resist this. Even though the sleepers around you won't understand why you have such a serene smile, and they'll misinterpret it, or they'll make a judgment about it, or they'll, maybe even cast an aspersion at you because you're having that smile. You allow that smile to continue. Constantly let that smile continue, because it's bringing in levels of transformation, levels of change within the emotional body that is very important. The smile is very, very, very important within a Kundalini equation. And you can induce it. You can induce it. You can invite the Kundalini to come into your face. And as you lift those corners of your mouth into that slight, serene smile, you can bring this on, and you can allow this to really begin to transform the way you feel. Because once again, that unlocks endorphins. And as the endorphins flow into your bloodstream, you're feeling better and better and better and better and more calm and more happy and more serene, more serenity. So I'm going to go to, first of all, I'm going to say that if there's anybody here that would like to call in, the guest call-in number for today's show is area code 347-934-0026. Feel free to call in and ask any question that you have. If you're in the chat room, I would like to invite you to ask any of the questions you have, and just go ahead and type it out. I'm looking at the chat room right now, so I can see the questions as they are being asked. And once again, the call-in number is area code 347-934-0026. And it looks like I see Amelia is still there, so I'm going to bring Amelia back on. And do you have anything you'd like to add to the Krishna style or anything else?
No, Chrism, but I agree with you. One thing that I was doing recently, I was having, it's a Kundalini thing as well, I was having very high blood pressure. And, I would go and get the blood pressure taken, and I was being brought back to have this done because people were concerned. Now, I actually am concerned about it at all. I was initially, but I know that it's a Kundalini thing. And I used to do that when they would start taking the blood pressure. I would go into a meditation, and when I did this smile, this actual smile on my face, it just helped me to feel connected, and to feel happy and joyful rather than concerned. I can't say it made a difference to the blood pressure, but it certainly made a difference to me.
Yeah, the high blood pressure tends to be a fairly consistent quality with Kundalini awakening, and it's really helpful, I think, for people to know that, so that they don't run off to the ER and have the 24-hour urine test, so that the MDs and the nurses can take your blood pressure again and again and again and say, oh my God, you've got extremely high blood pressure. Oh my God, we're going to have to give you this medication for the rest of your life. You're going to have to take this pill. And it's typically a pill that knocks you out. And high blood pressure tends to go with the Kundalini. It's fairly constant. Now, not everybody that has Kundalini will have high blood pressure. I know that Rosemary, who is listening on the phone right now, Rosemary has fairly low blood pressure. And you, Centaur, yours is fairly low most of the time, right?
It used to be low, Chrism. Yeah, this is a recent thing. Now, I haven't done it for a while, but this was maybe 2 or 3 weeks when it was extremely high. And exactly as you said, I mean, we're talking we're talking ridiculously high. And because of that, exactly as you said, they wanted to put me on, blah, 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 loads of medication and things.
Right.
But
right.
I think so, but it's just around the smiling, and I found that was very helpful for me. And I do it during my meditation as well, as I'm beginning to settle in, particularly if I'm going into a situation where, I'm just going into my room, and we'll say things are going on in the house, and I'm going in to do my practice. That settles me in to a place of, like you used the word serenity, and that's it. It does. It settles me in to the beginnings of serenity, so that I can begin my meditation and leave behind, the monkey mind and all of that. The smile works.
No, absolutely. Now, Walsh has asked a question. He says, where would someone start with Kundalini? Well, where I would suggest that you start, Mr. Walsh, is the Kundalini Awakening Safety Protocols. I believe you can go to a website called KundaliniSafeties.com. Is that right, Santara?
Yes, that's right, Chrism.
KundaliniSafeties.com, Walsh, and it practice all of the safeties. Now, the gentleman Vincent who developed that website, it's visually very clean. It's a very nice website. But read some of what he's written down there with regards to forgiveness and tolerance and compassion and surrender and, things of that nature. It's very, very important that you don't just do the 5 Tibetans or just do the pranayama. It's all of these safeties go together, and you do them twice a day, 2 different sets a day, which is best. And from there, you can really begin to explore your own Kundalini. But you got to be consistent with it. Most people are not consistent with these types of practices. But let's just give you, Mr. Walsh, the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see how things go with you if you join us again. And Amelia, do you have any announcements that you'd like to make?
Can I just say about the safeties, Chrism? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You say do the safeties twice a day, and I agree, do the safeties twice a day. When you're talking about the physical safeties, like what you called out there, the pranayama, the Tibetans, those, the meditation, but the other safeties like forgiveness and tolerance and the inner joy that you're really talking about here, when we recall, that those to me. You can use them. I use them throughout the day, all the time. They're like, I think of the safeties as like a toolbox. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but like a first aid box. And so, throughout my day, I'm bringing this with me. And let's say something occurs that causes a reaction in me, and my first response might be to go and give an ego response. Well, I can stop and think, look in the safeties and maybe take out tolerance. And tolerance is amazing, because when you take out tolerance as, one of a tool to use for yourself and apply it, it's amazing what it does, because it stretches me. It stretches me to be silent and to listen, and in all kinds of ways. So, and then it leads to forgiveness and all of that. So I really feel twice a day for sure, but those emotional safeties, bring them with you in that box all day, because they can be applied all day,
Absolutely, and I think you bring up a good point. When I say twice a day, I am referring to the Tibetans and the pranayama and the meditation. But with the behavioral safeties like forgiveness or tolerance or patience or honesty or inner joy or love, appreciation of beauty, and in concordance with today's program, amusement, which I'm not even sure you should have if I have. And be amused as much as you can. It is so helpful. It is so very, very, very helpful to be amused and to laugh at yourself too. Don't be so wrapped up into your own scenarios. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so important. I can't laugh at myself. Be able to laugh at yourself. Be able to see the humor in situations. The pets. The animal kingdom. They have a very interesting way of showing humor. The dogs and the cats and the rabbits and some of the things that perhaps we're a little closer to. I'm not sure that I could recognize the humor of a praying mantis or grasshopper or cricket or someone like that. I'm sure they have it, but maybe with the mammal species it's a little easier to see. But really do try to bring humor and amusement into your equation as much as you possibly can. And I'm going to go over here to our friend, Miss Joey. How are you, Joey?
Hi.
Welcome
Hello.
back from sunny Florida.
Oh, yes, it was beautiful. Very
I bet
sunny.
It was hot. Very hot, too, I'll bet. Oh, my God.
No, it wasn't. It was 79, 81 all the time. It was wonderful.
Oh, so you got your vitamin D for the year, I think.
And speaking of happiness, I was so happy. I got back 6 o'clock last night, and I was busy all day today. I volunteered most of the day, and I just was. It was such a happy feeling to be back in my home and back and doing normal things. And then I was working with a group of gals who come in to do use colored pencils, and we just have the most pleasant time just talking about anything and everything, and sitting there and coloring our pictures.
Oh, no, that's great. That's really nice. Yeah.
It was, and I just driving home afterwards, I just felt so happy. It was, it's just something to spend time with people with no pressure. It was special.
That's a very important thing too. Is like you can have friends that don't have Kundalini. It doesn't. You don't have to get so wrapped up. Sometimes you have to get wrapped up into the whole vibrational quality of that which is around you, but not all the time. I have plenty of friends that don't have Kundalini, and they, I don't expect them to have the Kundalini, and I don't, I'm not judgmental of them whether or not they have the Kundalini. You can meet with a bunch of guys or gals that are just coming together, just like you say, Joey, that very little pressure. You're just kind of talking about anything and everything and not being disrespectful of each other and just being very, very comfortable. And there's a level of serenity within that too, especially as you're doing, things like artwork or, any kind of an arts or crafts like quilting or coloring like you were doing there, or painting or even a book review type of club that people have. Not that I do a book review type of club. I've heard that people do, that they have a good time doing that type of thing. So yeah, Joey. Well, I just want to say welcome back, and indeed, there is joy and happiness to be found in the simplest of things. As you open yourself to the familiar aspects of your home, and how long were you away from home for, Joey?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and so I spent about 2 weeks away from home lately myself, and you're right. It is so nice to just get back into really kind of re-experience the joy of the familiar environment, the joy of being within your energy, your things, your air, your airspace, and all of those things. So yeah. Well, welcome back, my dear. Welcome back to you.
Thank you.
And coming over here, I'm going to visit Minnesota again and talk with Her Holiness, the sister of the highest reverence, the Mother Superior of all Mother Superiors, the Kundalini awakened flying nun, Her Holiness, Rosemary Goliath, of the Sisters of the Happiness of Goliath. Hi, Rosemary.
Hello there. I am smiling because I am a person you have teased often, and you know that I don't have a natural sense of humor. I have a natural sense of seriousness. And,
I know. You're a biology teacher.
Yes. Well, I was remembering my dear friend Pat. We were in high school together. We were sisters together. We taught in this high school together, and she had really humorous ways of saying things like she'd say to me, Rosemary, I'm done listening before you're ever done talking. Like stuff like that. You've experienced that.
That's true.
Yeah. And but what I have the smile on my face about as you started to talk about your practice, and first of all I said I have nothing to add here because I don't have those natural gifts and blah blah blah. But my meditation time towards the end or when I'm part of the two breathing parts, that when I am connected in that way, I have a smile on my face. It's part of my kriyas. And even the last 20 minutes, it's right there before you mentioned it. It was there on my face because it's just there. It's a Kundalini that gives me joy. It's not something that's already there. And the other part,
definitely something that you put into place for sure.
Yeah. And I knowing that I have the old biology teacher of paying attention to the body, that even if you're not happy but you smile, that smile generates it in your body. That's a fact.
Right. Well, this is true, and I want to thank you and the biology teacher within you for reaffirming that cascade of endorphins that the body produces when you push a smile onto your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Your Holiness. Thank you for allowing us to partake of your happiness and your wisdom behind that happiness. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
So it's very true. It's very, very, very true. For anybody that's on the chat room, my co-host Amelia Centara has posted the KundaliniSafeties.com, and for those of you listening in the archives, hello, future people, or that are listening right now on smartphones or computers. The website is www.KundaliniSafeties, all one word, .com. So www.KundaliniSafeties.com, and a very, very helpful website. I'd like to thank Vincent for putting that together. Very kind of him for doing that, and a great service for many of the people here. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here and start talking about the Shaktipat. We have the Shaktipat that is coming up in March, and this is the vernal Shaktipat that it coincides with the vernal equinox, and it starts on the vernal equinox, which would be the 21st of March, and is extended for 7 days. This is a 7-day Shaktipat, and this Shaktipat has the scatter field effect with it, and Walsh is saying, I'm sending you some loving energy. Thank you, Walsh. The Shaktipat can be very strong for people. The scatter field itself can also be very strong for people. I want people to feel free to participate with that. I think Amelia will be doing it. Rosemary will be doing it. And Joey, if she wants to do it. And many of the other people are also doing it. And it's very important that you practice the safeties. And looks like Rosemary has a question here, so I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Are you there, Rosemary?
Thank you. You know, Chrism, I really do want to say something, that the source of the lightness that I have that is new only since this work is that I have the view. I know that I'm being carried and lifted and drawn by the Kundalini. Before these experiences, the seriousness was because it was all my work. I had to be doing you know what I'm saying? That was my only source of whatever was myself. Well, that's not true. I have a whole different view of that. So right. Does that make sense?
It does. It does indeed. It makes sense. I mean, when you just rely on your ego and your mental mind, which is connected to the ego for self-validation, you're going to run into some pretty perhaps invalidating areas. But when you have the Kundalini, as you have, Rosemary, and many of the other people here have the Kundalini already, it tends to really begin to open you up to the effects of divinity upon your divinity into your equation. And when you add divinity into your equation, typically you're extracting a lot of ego endorsement from your equation. And when you extract that dependency upon the ego, you're able to really begin to embrace those things that would normally be closed off by the ego, such as an appreciation of the divine around you and within you and expressing through you with by virtue of the Kundalini. So yeah, thank you, Rosemary.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes.
So. Yeah, very good. Did you have more?
Though the ego knows that it's only an ego, and that's where the suffering comes from.
Rosemary, could you make your announcements about some of the things we talked about lately?
Yes, thank you, Chrism. I was hoping for that opportunity. We're delighted to share with the world that we have our next seminar scheduled in October 28 and 29, and we're doing that in a little bit about an hour or so south of the cities in Mankato. And we have support there. Katie is from there, and you've spoken there, and we're going to be focusing on that. And very happy. It's a joy to know that we have that in place. And thank you, Chrism, for your willingness.
Right, and you also have an expo coming up, do you not?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 25th. For those of us that are here in town, there is an expo for healing, and they're calling it a symposium. It's one day, and we will be there with people who do all kinds of modalities, always around us, everything possible. And it inspires me even more because my heart is touched by how hard they're working, and they're not in this realm of the focus that we have. So I'm always looking for those opportunities so that we can talk with people and share. And you, dear teacher, when I said this and that you wouldn't be here, you have offered to talk with people one-on-one live, and we're going to be doing that. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's 10:30 to 11 our time and 1:30 to 2. And we're going to getting our technology together, Katie and I, and we will have that on a larger screen so people going by can see and hear, and we'll have people scheduled too for that time. So that's something brand new and really exciting to think that we'll be able to do that. So thank you. And anybody who's listening from our community here, please call me so that we can schedule you to be there as well. And we give blessings to people that are very touching. We had a couple people who came to the seminar because they talked with us and received blessings at one of these expos and others were expos. And also our postings, 4 of the people picked up our postings around the last 2 days before the seminar. So we'll be doing that again too.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over here to Santara. Santara, I believe there's a Berlin seminar that's being scheduled as well. Do you recall the date?
The date, Chrism, yes, that's happening in September, and it's happening on the 16th and the 17th of September, and actually on the 15th as well, which is the Friday. It's a weekend. So if people have already been to the seminar, or if they have been a student of yours for a while, they can come on the Friday night, and then on the Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we will be having, Manisha is organising that in Berlin, the 2-day seminar. So that's the 16th and the 17th, the 15th, 16th, and 17th of September. So contact Manisha. Manisha is on Facebook, or if you go onto the Kundalini Awakening group, you will see her there. There's also a group on Facebook called Kundalini Seminars with Chrism, Kundalini Awakening Seminars with Chrism, and you'll find the information there as well.
Oh,
and Chrism, is the expo happening in the Twin Cities? Is it?
Yes,
the one
yes.
that Rosemary's speaking about?
Hey, I'll bring Rosemary back on here if she's with you.
And the date as well, maybe.
Yeah. What is the date and what location, Rosemary?
The date is this February 25th.
Rosemary?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
What date is the expo and where is it?
The expo is February the 25th, 9:30 in the morning, 6 p.m. It is at Earl Brown Center in Brooklyn Center, one of the northern direction of Minneapolis. And my phone number is 651-329-9615. Please call me anyone about that or about the seminar.
All right. And so once again, that's in 10 days, ladies and gentlemen, September 25th.
Yes.
And if you want to get a hold of Rosemary, what's your number again, Rosemary?
651-329-9615.
Good. And just to reiterate, they will be giving Kundalini lessons there. Rosemary will. I think Joey might also be doing that. Perhaps Katie as well. Katie Paulson Galarno will also be there helping and assisting. And I will be. I think I will be also available there via Skype on that date as well at a certain time. I believe 10:30 and 1:30. And so join us there at that expo on 10 days from now on the February 25th at the Earl Brown Center in the Twin Cities. And, get a hold of Rosemary at the phone number that she's given. Go ahead and give that again, would you?
651-329-9615.
And thank you, Rosemary. Thank you very, very, very much. And Walsh is asking, says, when will you be in Maine's northern tundra? Well, as soon as you and I set something up there, Walsh, I'd be happy to come to Maine. Matter of fact, I've been to Maine. The last time I was in Maine was in 2002, so just a couple years ago, and I was able to visit a Kundalini awakened individual there who was doing some assistance. And it's a very, very beautiful state. I love Maine, and I love the narrow little roads. It reminds me of Ireland a lot. Like enough room to get 2 horses in, but not a car. But well,
Walsh,
go ahead.
If Walsh would be interested, Walsh, this is Suntara, contact me or contact Rosemary. We've both helped organise seminars, and if you were willing to host one there, we could talk to you about how to organise that, and Chrism would be delighted to come and, organise the seminar, and Chrism will come. So if you would like to do that, contact me or contact Rosemary, and we can have a chat about it.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a good plan. Let's see. Walsh says, LOL, no one comes up this far. Well, I'll tell you what, I would come up that far. You get 10 people together, I'll come up that far. As long as I can, as long as we can pay for the airfare, that's an important.
That's actually the main thing. I mean, Chrism doesn't charge for seminars it's really to pay for the air flights, and then anything that is left obviously for his time.
The transportation too. The transportation from the main in Maine, I think, is the capital of Maine, wherever that is. Oh boy. And oh my God, I'm having a brain freeze. Oh my God. Bangor.
Well,
Bangor,
I'm of no help to you.
It's Bangor, Maine. And to travel from Bangor, Maine, which I think would be the whole length of the state if you're up there in the tundra. So there you have it. I mean, I need to have the transportation worked out, but I'd be more than happy to come to Maine or Antarctica or the tundra of the Arctic in the far north, or Scotland, or any of these places that are kind of way, way, way out there that nobody else will go to. As long as I don't get stranded there, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And he says maybe
that would be a great service.
Right.
It would be a great service to provide.
You got a phone call down there, Amelia. We got a.
Okay, we'll go.
233 area code there. Okay. I'm more than happy to travel to these distant areas, only because I know that Kundalini people are, my opinion here, are some of the most precious people on this world with regards to the evolution of the masses of humanity. Kundalini people give off a very specific divine frequency, and that divine frequency, when it reaches a certain level of maturation, can do extremely strong, beautiful scenarios with humanity, but not just with humanity, also with the environment. And Walsh is saying he or she is a number of hours north of Bangor, so I don't know what that means, but I assume it's north, because Bangor's in the south end of the state. But I am willing to travel these ways in order to do as much as possible on this world to bring levels of Kundalini into the populations. And one of the things that I've been doing at least this week is getting into the books. I know David mentioned something on some of the groups there that about with regards to a book and things of that nature, and so forth. I am now collating all of the data. I have so much data to collate that I'm having to sequester myself to get all of this done. I have to kind of take myself off the groups for a little bit in order to do that. And David says that he lived in Rockland, Maine for a few years, so it seems like he would be familiar with that area as well. And so if anybody wants to call in, we've got a call-in person right now, a couple of call-in people right now, and they're listening. And if you want to call in and go this way, the area code is 347-934-0026, 347-934-0026. Feel free to call in, or if you are on the chat room right there in the chat room, like Mary Jean is, and Atlanta Seeker is, and Tim Ashworth, who I have not seen for a while. Hello, Tim. Good to see you there. Feel free to write your question. So there you have it. Now I'm gonna Looks like Amelia's having a really long conversation with the person there, so that's okay. I'm going to come back to Amelia, and I'm going to see if we have any questions that she may have collected from the... Oh, this is Chica. Okay, I recognize that person.
Yeah.
Does he have a question?
Yeah.
All right, let me go on over there. Yes? Hello? Okay. Chica. Hello, Chica. Yeah. Hello, Chica. Chica, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Chica.
Yes, my question. I have a question.
Can you position your mouth around the phone a little better? I can hardly hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can sort of hear you. Yes. Speak slowly and enunciate as best you can.
Okay.
What's happening, Chica?
Everything is good. Everything is good. I have a question.
Okay. What's your question?
Yes. The question is, Kundalini is a design, as I know.
Did you already tell Amelia the question? Did she?
Yes, Kundalini is a design, as I know. Can someone ask for a specific gift from Kundalini?
Santara, did you get the question?
No,
Yes.
Chrism. Chica, you're saying that the Kundalini is divine. Is that the beginning of what you're saying?
Yes.
And what's the next part? What's your actual question?
Yes. Can somebody demand or request for a specific gift from him?
No, Chica, I can't hear you. Could you stand your mouth back further from the phone? Hold the phone further away from your mouth. And speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, can someone demand for a specific gift from design?
I'm sorry, Chrism, I can't hear. Sorry, Chica. Yeah, Chica, I can't hear you. But I want you to ask your question. Is it nighttime? Is it nighttime? Why is your voice so low?
Yeah, this is the night time. I'm coming from Africa.
So what
no,
country are you in?
I heard that, Chica.
Yes. Okay, maybe I can write a message.
Please repeat.
I can write on the message, and someone can read that for me.
Yes, write a message.
Okay, let me write.
Let me write Chica, when you said there to Chrism, yes, I am calling from Africa, that was very clear. So maybe lift your voice a little bit and speak a little bit quicker and see can we hear you. Try once more.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes. Better. Yes.
Okay. Now, my question is, Kundalini is a divine?
Yes, it is divine.
My question is, is it possible for someone to demand a gift from Kundalini?
Is it possible for someone to demand Kundalini?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Demand it, or command it. Which one?
Yes. Is it possible for someone to demand a gift from Kundalini, which is not the one Kundalini gives willingly?
I see. Demanding Kundalini. It's possible, but it's not advised. Demanding Kundalini is kind of an egotistic control direction that may not give a person the best relationship with the Kundalini. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if demand is the word that you want. Demanding or commanding the Kundalini is not advised. You don't demand of God or command God to do certain things. And with the premise that the Kundalini is a divine force, a force of divinity, of God, you're not going to be bossing God around too much.
Yes, I understand. But in a specific gift, is it necessary for someone to ask for it?
Missed that. Could you go back to how you were talking before, when we could understand you?
Okay. I said in a specific gift from divine and the limit, is it necessary for someone to demand or require in a direction that he needed or he wanted to be for divine to give him that way?
Can I interrupt, Chica? It's actually, I'm not hearing any of that. Would you like to write?
Okay.
If you're there, you could go down into the chat room. Just go to the show and go into the chat room. Are you able to pick it up on where you are on the internet? Can you follow the link? Go into the chat room, or else go to the Kundalini Awakening group and write your question there. I have a thing at the top of the group, and I'll call it out to Chrism.
Okay.
Would that be okay with you? I'm so sorry that we can't hear you. The line is very fuzzy.
Okay, maybe I can go to the chat room and drop my message.
Okay, thank you, Chica.
I can go to the chat room and drop my message, but if you can hear me clearly, I would like to ask a question direct. I will go to the chat room.
The chat room, great. Okay, we'll see you there soon. Thank you.
Oh, and do you have any questions stored up for me there, Amelia?
Yes, Chrism. There are a few. Okay. I just got in one there. I've only one today that was sent in privately outside of the groups. And the question was, do you have to be spiritual in order to receive a healing from a Kundalini person?
No, one does not have to be spiritual. I find animals and insects to be very, very spiritual creatures. And so I find that they're very, very open to having a healing from the Kundalini, even if they don't want one. As I've told this program before, I was healing black widow spiders before I realized that part of their reproductive cycle means that one of them is going to have to die to be food for the babies. And so with people, I think that you don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be spiritual. It's helpful if you're open to it. Permission does need to be given for an actual healing incursion, but for a prayer to the chakra or healing from that vector, one does not have to be spiritual to do that. No. Over.
Okay. Thanks, Chrism. From the groups now. What to do if you give in to temptation? What if we gave in and we ate pork, or we had sex or masturbated? What if we uttered bad words or drank alcohol? How do we recover our Kundalini energy after such things?
Well, I'm going to ask you to answer that question, if it's all right. Go ahead.
Okay. Was that because it mentioned alcohol, Chrism?
Well, there's a couple of other things. I know you like to eat pork.
Yeah, okay. Oh, my God, I so don't. Okay. Well, for
How do
me,
you recover from that? How do you recover from eating, like, say, alcohol or
God,
things like that? So go ahead.
I don't think you recover from eating pork, end of story. No, but leaving that aside and not picking specific things. But for me, when I have given into temptation, and what is temptation? Like, temptation is when I listen to the ego and its desires and its needs, and it's deliberate at times, pulling me and tempting me away from a course of surrender that I have given to my Kundalini. And when that happens and I give in, for whatever reason, because any reason is just an excuse. The fact of the matter is, I have moved away from the path of surrender and commitment, and I followed the ego. So the only thing that I can do then is to self-correct. And that means that I'm aware of what I've done and I don't do it again. And as part of that, I have to forgive myself for what I have done. And that can be hard. I mean, it sounds easy, forgive yourself and move on, because ego also has a part to play there in not allowing forgiveness to occur. A person can be very hard on themselves and can actually become very negative and, start beating themselves up over it. And that of itself is a further giving into the ego. We need to just self-correct and take positive actions and not do that again. Sometimes we can also make, what's the word? Is it retribution? Is that the correct word? We can do things that are positive in order to make up for the negative things that we have done. So, if we have been, like, if I was cursing or something, I could make absolute conscious choice to speak sweetly to people, or things like that. I can't think of any other examples, but so self-correct and forgiveness, and that's what comes to mind, Chrism. That's what I've done.
Really?
And the Kundalini, stop. And the Kundalini is, in my experience, she can be tough and hard, but she is also, she knows us. So she knows us really, really well, and she's compassionate and very merciful. That is my experience as well.
Was that your experience after you chug a bottle of wine? Is that the wine or the Kundalini?
Do you ever forget anything? Oh my God. Okay.
All right. Andrew Lucatiello is also, he says he's been struggling with similar issues lately, giving into cravings, etc. I think it's really important to begin to put the Kundalini at the highest priority. Definitely self-correcting and self-forgiveness is very important, as Santara has illustrated. But take the priority of Kundalini and make it your highest priority, much higher than the easy path of instant gratification that some of these cravings can give. We're used in the Western world. We're used to instant gratification, and it's very important for people to understand that within the ego refinement areas, Instant gratification is not always your friend. It is not always your friend. And so do your very best to kick the Kundalini prioritization into one of your top priorities. And then from there, as it's a top priority, then you don't really, it's constantly there on your mind. It's constantly there. And you go into the store and you walk past, say, the bakery section, all the pies and whatnot, and you're just not interested anymore. Or, in the case of Centaura, you go down the wine aisle, and you're looking at
No, you're so mean. But can I say something about instant gratification that she's deflecting? Interestingly enough, like for me, we'll say take that example of the alcohol. That actually had long been put to bed. I had long walked past the aisles or gone out, and I had stopped drinking alcohol a long, long time. And so, interestingly enough, it came up as a test. Now, it had come up before, I'm sure, and it hadn't been an issue for me. But this was a test that I failed miserably, because at that particular time that I'm talking about now, me drinking the alcohol was representative of a whole much bigger scenario that was going on for me at the time. Do you know what I mean? So it was, and I it was huge. Yawn.
Like
but sometimes it isn't.
You're just padding it.
No, it's an interest.
Oh,
no.
I was having such a difficult time, and so many other.
No, that's not what I mean.
I just had to drink the alcohol.
No. Okay, I'm just not going to even try, because I don't want to do that. It's just sometimes. All right, I'm shutting up. The bottom line is, it is fulfilling a gratification anyway, but it wasn't just a need for the alcohol. It was a different. It was, anyway, whatever. Okay, are we done?
So soon. Are there any more questions, my dear?
There are coming up now. Just going back to them. The next question was about the DNA strands, Chrism, and it was about, do you want to, about the 12 strings and all of that, but you spoke about an aspect. Okay.
12-strand DNA, that's such a crack up to me. A chiropractor back in the, I'd say back maybe 10, 12 years ago, put out a series, a couple of books actually, that was indicating that he met a gypsy on a Southern California beach, and ever since he met the gypsy, well, then he was able to tie into certain levels of energetic transformation, and that this transformation would give everybody 12-strand DNA, because 2-strand DNA just wasn't enough in his mind. And basically, he formulated this whole scenario of 12-strand DNA, along with, I don't know that they're connected, but a guy that goes by the name of an Egyptian deity also was kind of promoting the 12-strand DNA thing. We have 2 strands of DNA with a harmonic third. The harmonic third is the Kundalini, or the 2 that become 1 would be the harmonic third. So the 2 strands within a harmonic cohesiveness become 3 strands, the 2 that are 1 and the 1 that is 2. But that wasn't good enough for these guys. No. We were somehow just not complete because we had 2 strands with a harmonic third. No. We needed 12 strands. You know, the 2-string guitar was just not enough. We needed to have 12 strings. And so they, you know, the chiropractor created this intensely huge business. I mean, he was charging at one point over $800 just to get a ticket to a seminar where he would literally just touch your hand, and you were now a master teacher at this reconnection thing. Perhaps some of you have heard of it. It's kind of died down a little bit now, but reconnection was what it was called, and you know, I got to check on something real quick, Amelia. You go ahead and dance with that just for a second.
Okay, tap dancing. I have this joke. What happens? How did the tap dancer break her leg?
No, that's okay.
Chacho.
Okay, save you. I'll save us from that. Okay, all right. So yeah, the
Don't
reconnection.
You want to know the answer?
No, but thank you. We'll explore that later. So the reconnection occurred, and it was a very big deal for a number of years, and the guy made $1 gazillion, and the adulation that this man received really took him down a very dark ego chapter where he became very jealous and very, afraid, and it was very, very interesting to see that development happened to this individual. A lot of people, spent a lot of money wanting to get this reconnection therapy or whatever it is. And so that's how the whole 12-strand DNA thing came into being. It's not real. It's not true. But, people tend to try to make things, the more the merrier. The more you have, the better things are. That, it works on that whole ethic and that psychology. And so, we don't need 12 strands of DNA. Our DNA works perfectly just the way it is. We could have a stronger connection with the harmonic third or with the Kundalini, and this would have a direct effect upon the telomeres of the DNA strand. The telomeres they basically dictate how many times a cell can replicate. And I know that the Kundalini can have a direct effect on how many times a cell can replicate by virtue of its transformation of the telomeres within the genetic structure. But as far as having 12 strands of DNA, no. That's fantasy. It's put there for profit. It's put there for notoriety. It's put there to feed the egotistical requirement that more is better. Okay.
Thanks, Chrism. So what then about the alien intervention? Can you speak a bit about that?
So the other question in tandem with that question on the group was what if aliens had gotten together and decided to mess with the evolutionary pattern of humanity? Well, that's been happening for a long time now. Lots of alien, you talk about alien hybrids and, the scenario out here with Mount Shasta and with Dulce, New Mexico, and in the Congo region of Africa and in the Brazilian rainforest and, parts of Russia, China, and even in England, where you and I have both visited the crop circle formations, Amelia. Many times have, shall we say, alien intelligences been messing around with the human genetic code. This is not new. We have something that a lot of creation does not have. And one of those is the Kundalini at the base of our spine. And a lot of intelligence want to have that because they don't. what they have is they have a better or a more advanced technology than we do. They have a better medical technology. They have a better understanding of energy and physics and the dynamics of energy and physics. They can go, interdimensional. They can do all these things, but they can't transcend physicality straight into divinity like we can do. And because we're under the law of the veil that limits our capabilities while we're here on this planet, so that we can work through our karma, and we can advance, however slowly or quickly, that working with our karma allows us to do. Because that is occurring, and we're blinded to some degree by the technological advancement of other species, they will come in and they will take advantage of our blindness, and they will do their very best to tinker around with the genetic code. Now, what I think the questioner on the group was asking was, what if long ago we were subjected to genetic engineering in order to make us slaves? Now, if you go into the Sumerian understanding, the Sumerians, one of the earliest known peoples or societies of this world, they knew about this. They knew that this world was visited by a species of creation called the Anunnaki. And according to the Sumerian people, the Anunnaki required a level of gold in order to do whatever they're going to do with gold. And they discovered some very, very strong gold deposits in the country that for a while was known as Zimbabwe. And these mines are still there, by the way. The Zimbabwean mines are still there. And what occurred was that the Anunnaki took a species of ape, and took that species and altered its genetic genome in order to develop humanity from that ape. And that we've always looked at the Anunnaki ever since as the angels, or the angels of God, and all of these things. And this is all recorded in the Anunnaki clay communications. They put symbols down on clay, and then you turn the clay canister, and you can read the inscriptions on the canister. Anyway, so the Anunnaki did this, and this is what a lot of people refer to as the birth of humanity was through the genetic manipulation from this species that according to some people are on a planet that has a very long elliptical orbit. I forget the name of the planet. They call it. What is that? You know the name of the planet, Cynthia?
No, Chrism, I don't.
Yeah, neither do I. Anyway, so there's this planet out there, according to these folks, with a very long elliptical orbit. And these Anunnaki are residents on that planet, and they come by the Earth every 7,000 years or so. And evidently we're due for a visitation. And when that planet comes by, well, there's great havoc caused by its gravitational field upon this Earth's gravitational field. And every time they come by, the oceans rise up, and there's a lot of tectonic activity and volcanic activity, and literally civilizations are squashed just by virtue of the planet going by. And of course, there are visitations upon the world by these people, these creatures. So that's what she's referring to in the question. And, according to the Sumerian people, this is exactly what happened. One faction of the Anunnaki, led by a guy named Enlil, Enlil, was not pro-human human being, but another one named Enki, Aenki, was, and different Anunnaki lined up behind these two brothers, and a great war was fought over the existence of conscious human being, and that was the war of the angels that the Bible speaks of. I think it speaks of that. Anyway, so that's kind of what this person is alluding to within the question. My Kundalini tends to look at that, and there's a level of truth to that. There was an intervention, a genetic intervention, but they did not give us the Kundalini. Divinity gave us the Kundalini, and Divinity adopted these vehicles that had been created, these flesh vehicles, because they've already been messed around with. The genetic line of the ape or the simian had already been occluded with Anunnaki ministrations, shall we say. Divinity decided to go further with that and allowed souls to inhabit these bodies that had a super attachment to the material universe, multiverse, and by virtue of that attachment have become ensnared in materiality, and through the material ensnarement, Divinity gave an opportunity for people to advance into divinity, back from the attachment, the severe attachment to materiality. Humanity was given the advancement opportunity through karma to self-correct their way out of attachment and into the heavenly fields once again, which is where they started from, and so on a soul level. And so these bodies are basically containers for that opportunity to exist. And the people that come into these bodies, humanity, as we know humanity to be, are all understanding of the opportunity that they're being given, and they're going through their karma and doing their very best to get into levels of enlightenment on a continuous basis. There's always a stream of humanity that has narrowed down the karmic capacity and narrowed that capacity down to a point where the Kundalini can come in. And once the Kundalini comes in, a direct formation into divine consciousness begins. Over. Wow,
thank you, Chrism.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Walsh is saying, thank you for mentioning the Anunnaki and the 12th planet called Nibiru. There we go. Nibiru. Yeah. Thank you, Walsh.
The next question, Chrism, is from somebody who says on the group that, they felt like they were in paradise, but now in the last few months and weeks, I am not with the heaven feelings. And can you say why this is?
You've got to nurture your Kundalini. You've got to nurture your Kundalini equation with copious fluids, or you start coughing on the radio show. You've got to nurture it with love, with forgiveness, with service to others, with kindness, with compassion. You've got to nurture your Kundalini awakening equation. You can't just sit back and go, oh, yes, serenity come upon me, heavenly feelings come upon me, and just come upon me, and I don't have to do anything. That will happen to a certain degree. But after a while, that's going to fade away unless you begin to do some of the footwork. Once you start the footwork, that can come back through a level of saturation, of love, of kindness, of consideration, service for others, overt honesty, overt truthfulness, overt patience and discipline, and the practice of an energetic and a worshipful nature, but also the practice of interrelating with other humanity, but also with other creatures in a very love-based, profound way. I'm gonna have to get a drink here. You can tap dance now.
Well, I'm going to ask the question again then. Why did the tap dancer break her leg? And the answer is because she fell into the sink. Boom, boom. Okay, so I'm going to give out the website that you can go to if you'd like to make a donation to the work that Chrism does. It's www.kundalini-kundalini.blogspot.com, and there's a donate button there, and all donations, small donations, are gratefully received. These all add up and support the work that Chrism does. So that's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. Thank you. You're back?
Thank you. Yes, and Walsh mentioned and gratitude. Indeed, this is also very important. Now, it looks like we've got a questioner. So I'm going to go ahead and go straight to that questioner here. And here we go. And hover, my dear Centaura. And hello, caller. This is Chrism. How may I be of service to you today? Uh-oh.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes,
I hear you.
Speaking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I am calling to find out what is the Kundalini. Is Kundalini a spirit or what is it? I left for a little while, so I didn't get to hear all through, but I came back in and I see the program is still going. So I would like for you to give me an explanation of what is the Kundalini, and I would listen to you on my computer there.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and answer that. The Kundalini is indeed, it is a consciousness. It is a divine consciousness, and I hope you can still hear me. It is a consciousness, a divine consciousness that is residing within the physical being of the human being. Kundalini consciousness, the consciousness of divinity, is residing in the last three vertebrae of the human tailbone, and it is there waiting for certain karmic levels and frequency levels of attainment to be brought into the human being. As a person attains those levels of frequency, that evolutionary energy can awaken, and as it awakens, it will move up through the tailbone, causing a person to have a sore tailbone. It'll move up from the tailbone and through the pelvic girdle, causing a person to have a sore lower back. And as that energy begins to collect and to move and to circulate through the skeletal structures, the person will receive many, many different levels of phenomena of the activation of the Kundalini. And it is a strong, energetic, conscious presence of the divine within the human being. And it has very, very strong tactile effect upon the person. So it's not always very subtle. Matter of fact, it can be incredibly abrupt and extremely tactile to an individual. You don't need to try to feel it. A lot of the time, you feel it without having a choice. You're going to be feeling it. So that's kind of a thumbnail sketch of what the Kundalini is. Why it comes up is because when a person reaches a level of frequency of evolution, that frequency of evolution is like the combination on a lock. And as that person reaches that frequency, the combination is turned and the Kundalini is activated into the system. And as the Kundalini is activated into the system, the body immediately recognizes what this is and immediately goes into an expression of surrender to the Kundalini. The major organs begin to surrender to the Kundalini. The skeletal structure surrenders to the Kundalini. Everything about the human being begins to go into this program of surrender to the Kundalini, except the ego of the person. The ego is the one that puts up a lot of the resistance. But even with the ego resistance, you're still going to have the Kriyas, and Kriyas are like these automatic movements that the body puts itself into by virtue of the presence of activated Kundalini within the system. And so as the person goes through these levels of experience with the Kundalini, they hopefully begin to lose their resistance as they come into more information, and as they educate themselves more and more and more, the Kundalini begins to talk with them, not typically with words, but with feelings and with kind of like downloads of programming that the person will experience, just an intuitive knowing that a certain way is being requested of them. So, for instance, with an individual, as far as dietary, you'll all of a sudden you'll feel a strong compulsion to just eat meat and nothing else but meat, and then a short time later it'll just be vegetables, or she'll begin to change your diet and things of that nature. And that's just a very, very a thumbnail sketch of it. Whoever you are, I hope that helped. Wow, I don't know why I'm coughing so much. Okay, Centaur, what's next?
Okay, the next question, Chrism. All right, so the next question is open Kundalini and Nirvana, how far are they apart? And I'm reluctant to ask. Yes, because you did say 6 inches.
That was kind of a sarcastic response, because the question itself is kind of silly.
Well, let us assume that it's just English, and perhaps, not me taking it as literally that, how far are they apart. Nirvana, could you answer it in a different way, perhaps?
Ecstasy and Nirvana, perhaps the same thing.
So Kundalini open or awakened Kundalini and Nirvana are the same thing then?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the exact same thing, but similar.
Okay.
Kind of like Nirvana would be more of an endless expression of ecstasy. And Nirvana would be a higher expression of ecstasy. Not many people would have Nirvana and stay on this world.
Yeah, is Nirvana a destination?
It can be seen as a destination. Nirvana, according to what people, it depends on what people think it is. It literally means, it literally means blown out, as in an oil lamp.
Okay.
The term Nirvana, this is Wikipedia I'm reading from. The term Nirvana is most commonly associated with Buddhism and represents its ultimate stage of soteriological release and liberation from rebirths in samsara. In the Indian religions, Nirvana is synonymous with moksha and mukti. All the religions assert it to be a state of perfect quietude, freedom, highest happiness, along with being the liberation from the repeating cycle of birth, life, and death. To me, and my Kundalini, if you've reached Nirvana, you're not going to stay very long on this world. You pretty much have done what you needed to do, and you're about ready to move on. Which means that you'll die.
Happily.
Probably so. With a very, very serene smile on your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how far are they apart?
Okay, Chrism.
Kundalini would be the beginning of the enlightenment towards a nirvana.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And thank you. The next question is, I think it might be the last one. And I don't know what has anyone felt themselves go deeper into a fear, subtle shaking? I feel like blood was going into part of my brain and that it was numb without me even knowing it was numb. And insight appreciated. Again, it's a language thing, so I think they're talking about fear and shaking.
Too much wine? What do you think?
I don't know. Wine never affects me.
That takes away the fear. That's right.
So
I think there is a language problem with that. What's their question?
Yeah.
What's the actual question?
Well, I'm just realizing I lifted the question, and I'm just like, has anyone felt when they go deeper into a fear after a subtle shaking? So it sounds like they're going into a fear after shaking. And I feel like blood was going into part of my brain that must have been numb without me even knowing it was numb. I don't know. Any insight appreciated? I can remember Elizabeth answered that actually, and she said something like, it's an opportunity to go deeper into trust, because I can remember thinking it was a good answer. Yeah, that's what she said, I think. It was an opportunity in a Kundalini context to go deeper into trust if there's fear. So.
Well, I don't disagree with that. That's a good answer.
Yeah. Okay, Chrism. I think that is it. The end of the questions for today.
Well, thank you very much, Rosemary. Thank you for Rosemary. Thank you, Santara, for asking those questions and digging them up and doing the preparation and really putting together this whole format. Amelia Santara, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to remind people that they can go to www.kundalini .safeties, www.kundalinisafeties.com for a practice of the safeties. I want to invite people to partake of the Shaktipat that is coming up. The scatter fields will be set on March 11th. So I want you to really, 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 if you're going to do the Shaktipat, you make your declaration, you follow all the rules that are there on the Chrism Kundalini Shaktipat on the Facebook group. And follow those rules and understanding. And be sure to attend the expo where we'll see Rosemary, perhaps Joey and Katie, both in Galerno. That'll be happening on the 25th, and that'll be at the somebody's Brown building in Minnesota, the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. There will be a seminar in Germany, in Berlin, Germany, in September on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, and in Minnesota, Mankato, on October 28th and 29th. And so if people want to participate in those seminars, please feel free for the Minnesota seminar to contact Rosemary at rosemaryg@usinternet.com, and then Manisha at the address that Centaur gave earlier in the program. And I would like to thank Joey and the listeners on the phone. I'd like to thank Rosemary and the caller area code 407. I'd like to thank Walsh and David and Michelle and Mary and Katie and the guests and Atlanta Seeker, Andrew, Lucariello. I'd like to thank you all for participating in the program today, and look forward to working with you and talking with you next week at this time. And Centaura, do you have any last words, my dear?
Well, I just want to give the seminar page, Chrism, for people. It's Kundalini Seminars and Events with Chrism. It's on Facebook. Kundalini Seminars and Events with Chrism. And you'll get the details on the September seminar, and Rosemary will be putting up the details of the October seminar, and maybe we could put up something there in relation to the Mankato Expo in the next day or two. So Kundalini Seminars and Events with Chrism.
Thank you.
On Facebook.
Thank you very much. And we'll certainly get that information up there. And anything else, my dear?
No, Chrism, that's it really. Thank you very much indeed, and thanks to all the listeners, and see you all next week, same time, same channel.
Same station, and I'm going to end it like I started it, and I got your message there, Walsh, and we'll see you all next week, and I'm going to end it like we started. Here we go.